Podcast Studios. This is After 9 with Scott and Kat.
Hey now.
Hello, friends.
What's going on, Kat?
Thursday things, I guess.
Are there things going on?
On a Thursday? Yeah, Thursdays are great. Actually, they're my favorite on the show.
Really?
I love a throwback Thursday. I love the feeling right before the weekend because Fridays also tend to be a little crazy at the same time, like exciting, but a little crazy. Thursday's kind of cool because people are starting to realize it's the end of the week. They're making plans for the weekend. I find people to be mainly in a good mood. I like a Thursday.
Very good. Very good. I do too, actually. Yeah. And the sun's out. It's going to be dry today. Awesome. So it's Thursday, but it's going to feel a little bit like a Friday here on After 9 because our good friend and boss, Dave Blezard, is going to join us in studio in just a few minutes. It is a rare Dave on a Thursday episode of the pod. We'll get things started now, though. Dave's in what is he screwing around with? Is it a meeting?
I think he just has a real quick meeting he has to attend, and then he will be along. I do not know how long that will take him, but eventually he will join us.
Okay, let me mention a couple of newsy type things off the top. We found out yesterday Ontario's education minister and the Ministry of Education is now formally investigating that school field trip that the Toronto District School Board sent their students on.
Good.
Where they went to a political protest affecting the Grassy Narrows First Nation in Northern Ontario. Parents were misled about where kids were going. The TDSB, the actual board itself, the elected ones, they met last night and agreed to stop their own internal investigation and cooperate with the ministry investigation. And in case you're wondering why, it's because they can read the writing on the wall. They've been through the social media. They know parents are outraged.
Yeah.
And they're trying to preserve their jobs.
Where's the filtration system, though? I mean, it really doesn't make sense. I mean, every time that I've ever known an elementary trip, especially, but on high school, too, it doesn't matter. If it's a youth, if it's a minor, the parents need to know all of the details. And every single trip I've been on as a kid, my kids have gone on so far, and anyone I've ever known, it's here's where we're going, here's what time we'll be there, here's what we plan to do at the place that we go to. Do you want to join us? Are there any other questions? Feel free to let us know. It's very transparent. This is purposely misleading, or I don't even want to say misleading, just straight up they didn't tell people. Is that right?
Yeah, they said they were going to go and observe something for the Grassy Narrows folks. And by the way, I'll join the protesters here in pointing out it is atrocious that this much time has gone on. It's 2024 and they still don't have clean drinking water. It's messed up.
Sure.
So that's got to be dealt with first and foremost. On top of that, though, this protest devolved quickly, and it basically turned into a Free Palestine protest. There were even students on video that joined in with the protesters, chanting away to Free Palestine. And there were Jewish students on this trip that are like, what the hell is going on here?
Like no one really told me details of this situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you need to be transparent. I think in general, though, you need to be careful where you're taking kids on field trips anyway.
Sometimes I read about these trips that parents go on or that students go on, and I ask myself, what's the value of that? Are you guys just trying to get out of the classroom for a day, or is there a minimum number of field trips you have to go on? Some of them are quite good. Some of them I learned a lot on, and they're still doing some field trips today that they did when I was a kid. I can't tell you how many times I had to get on the bus and go up to Laurel Creek and go to the Sugar Bush.
Right? It was Shades Mills for me.
Yeah.
Shades Mills. Going to museums was another one. And I do remember, sure, at times when you're in grade 5, 6, 7, you're like, oh my God, this is boring. But I do actually remember learning a lot, and at least it's an educational thing. I don't think anyone will be mad about you going to a museum and choosing to, learn about stuff or not. And the science center's another one, right? So all of those make sense. This to me it doesn't make sense. If you're a part of a social group, and again, that's why I go back to I don't think elementary school's the timing for that anyway. Not that it's never too young to learn, but I think that's on parents. That's not on teachers. I don't think so. When it comes to certain things, I think parents need to lead the way and decide, I would like to take my kid here and show them this. That's what parents are for. I feel like they almost took the hand of these kids and pulled them away from parents and toward whatever they wanted them to go toward.
And they used them as props.
And it's not about the issues at hand. It's about being transparent to parents to allow them to know, this is what we're doing. Serve it up to kids/parents as an extracurricular, though. To me, that shouldn't be a part of the class day to go to anything involving a protest. It seems not right to me.
Yeah.
Regardless of what the protest is. Like I said, hey, it could be a protest for clean drinking water is a good example, and that's all it was, let's say. Let's say that's all it was, and there was no other issues surrounding clean drinking water. even then, I don't think I'd be willing to sign my kid up to go to a protest of any kind. I would be a little worried about what if something got out of hand. You have to be transparent about those things. It doesn't make sense to me that anyone involved, any adult who's a teacher, who's been through the education of being a teacher, could be like, this is a great idea.
I don't understand why there's such a push in some school boards to hide information from parents. This was never, ever, ever acceptable that there was even a sliver of information that you hid from parents. Now they're flat out taking kids on field trips to stuff like this because of the teacher or the principal's political beliefs.
Not okay.
It's not okay. You know what, though? I'm wondering, you probably get asked as much as I used to volunteer for field trips.
Literally yesterday.
Oh, really?
I had it was like our school.
What are you protesting?
School open house. It was our school open house. And they always send the letter every year, and there's an email every year, right? But it's easy to dodge the email. I got asked face to face from another parent, like it was like a parent council.
Oh, I hate parent council.
Right to me, like, hey, you should get involved. You've got 2 kids at the school, huh? Oh, you should get involved in the
give back.
You know what I did? I pushed my husband toward the toward the front. I'm like, yeah, honey, you should.
You got to throw him under the bus, right? Like, sometimes you have to throw your partner under the bus.
It's not like I'm against doing it, and one day, who knows? Maybe I'll do it just for at least a year and see how it goes. I'm not opposed to it, but right now I truly am so busy that I would feel really bad missing stuff or whatever. I don't want to be that person that seems like I'm making excuses. I want to actually be able to take the time and focus because there's important things that are, I assume that are discussed. I don't know because I've never been a part of one before.
Right. I'm wondering if you were there on this field trip, if you had been the parent that signed up to go on this TDSB, whatever it was.
Right.
And you looked around and saw all the Free Palestine signs and you saw people chanting from the river to the sea and you saw all these young, impressionable kids there. I'm wondering if you as a parent would have said, where's the teacher? Because I don't think this is right. We're in the wrong place. There's no way they planned a field trip to this. Something's wrong. I would have been a whistleblower. I would have raised the panic alarms. I would have phoned, I don't know, Global or the Toronto Sun or somebody and said, you won't believe what these pricks just did.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to me that it took until after the trip for anybody to find out that this is what went on here.
Yeah.
The options here are the province, the ministry, could take over the TDSB, put them under permanent supervision. You guys are not allowed to make decisions anymore. And based on the conversations that I'm having, based on what I'm reading on social media, I think there's a lot of parents that are ready to make it, that are ready to say, you know what, just do it. Disband that board completely. Put the ministry in charge, some neutral people who truly do just care about the educational component of it and leave the activism out of it because it seems like that's what this was, a very over-anxious person who wanted to try and indoctrinate kids into activism. I can't think of any other reason for it. U.S. federal grand jury has indicted New York City Mayor Eric Adams on criminal charges. He came out last night and said, this is completely untrue. I told you when I got elected that they're going to try and come after me for something. And they are criminal charges. The problem here is they haven't unsealed the indictment, so we don't know what the charges are related to.
You have to when it's a public figure like that, though, right? Like, eventually they will. You can't not tell us what's going on.
They have to unseal a grand jury indictment
Eventually.
for sure. I just wonder what it's connected to. I heard some accusations that it may be election interference. I also heard that there may be a connection to Diddy. I heard all kinds of stuff.
Everyone's going to assume that, though, when it comes to if any politician's in hot water, the automatic goes is going to be like, were they at a freak off?
But I mean, until they actually start sharing this information with the public, who does have a right to know, by the way, people are going to speculate. I don't know. If I were one of the celebrities, for example, that did not participate in those freak-offs, I'd be demanding they tell everyone who did so that I can be vindicated and say, it wasn't me. I wasn't even there. They're going after that person and that person, not me. But nobody is talking like that, which kind of makes me wonder what's going on. Is Diddy's lawyer, by the way, a good lawyer? Because I saw him do an interview yesterday with TMZ. And do you have it?
I do. I don't know where he found that. I don't know where he found this guy, but I assume nobody else really wants to work with Diddy, and that's what I can come up with because here it was Diddy's attorney yesterday talking about all the baby oil that they found at Diddy's place.
They call them freak-offs. But, you know, back when I was a kid in the late 70s, they were called threesomes.
If these are genuinely threesomes, how do you explain 1,000 bottles of baby oil?
I don't know where the number 1,000 came.
The U.S. attorney said it.
I can't imagine it's thousands. I mean,
No, it was.
And I'm not really sure what the baby oil has to do with anything.
They're essentially saying it's a lubricant for an orgy.
I guess. I don't know what you need 1,000. One bottle of baby oil goes a long way. I don't know what you need 1,000 for. I mean, he has a big house. He buys in bulk. You know, I think they have Costco's in every place where he has a home. I mean, have you sat in the parking lot of a Costco and see what people walk out of there with?
Not 1,000 bottles of baby oil.
I don't think it was 1,000. I think it was. Let's just say it's a lot. Okay.
We'll give you that. Maybe it wasn't 1,000.
This Diddy, it's not. I think, does Diddy know? Like when Diddy's having a conversation with that guy who's defending him, does he go, I am so screwed right now because you are not making anybody around you believe that Diddy wanted to go to Costco to buy that many baby oils like it's a normal fucking thing for a 50-something-year-old man.
Just because it was a good deal.
Just because it was a good deal. Like, thousands.
You save when you buy in bulk.
I do that. I get graham crackers that many too. Yeah, no. Nobody does that.
I do think it's interesting, though, because I had never considered that, and I'm always looking for entertainment options that are affordable. I wonder if it would be a fun afternoon to just go and park in a Costco parking lot and just keep track of what people are coming out with and ask yourself some serious questions like, why do they need that many jars of ketchup? Or pickles? Why do they have that many bottles of ketchup? Who needs that many steaks? What's going on there?
I think it's fun. One of the accounts that I follow, and it's a bakery that I went to for a while, they posted about how many looks they get because they run a bakery. So they do one of those big wheelie carts that they have at Costco. Eggs. Almond flour, like just a ton. And they always get looks down the aisle. Like, what do you need that many eggs for? What are you doing with that many eggs? So there's people who run businesses for sure that I'm sure get those looks all the time.
It's just weird for his lawyer to be hung up on that particular detail. Well, it wasn't 1,000 bottles. Who cares? No. There shouldn't have been that many in the first place. It doesn't matter if it was 1,000, 100, or 10.
By the way,
that's still too much.
By the way, he should know that that's exactly what the U.S. attorney said. Like, I love how he's like, no, 1,000, it seems like a lot. No, that's what he said. Like, shouldn't you pay attention to that? Shouldn't you know what they just said?
Wouldn't he get a copy of it?
Wouldn't you know? Wouldn't you have watched it? I think we all watched it, but you, bud. And that's your client. You should probably pay attention.
That's wild to me. Just completely messed up. We got our latest population update here in Canada. StatsCan says the federal government hasn't quite started slowing down the pace of immigration. I'll tell you that because the population grew by 250,229 in 1 quarter.
Oh.
The second quarter of this year. Canada's population up another 250,000. We now sit at an estimated 41,288,599 as of July the 1st. That includes when you factor in everybody that died and then all the people that were born, that's a net 10,000. Okay, where are we going to put it? Is there 250,000 available homes right now?
No.
Well, let's assume they're all couples. Are there 125,000 homes available right now? Where are all these people staying?
I know we're building, and we're building at a fast pace, at least here in Ontario, they say. Is that actually going as planned?
I don't think so. There's a lot of... I just watched this last night. Who am I crediting here? Might have been Global. They did a special on how many... condo builders and builders in general, the ones that build homes, how many of them have either shelved plans for future projects or they're just plain not going to finish the current projects because number one, they're not selling. And number two, because the fees are so high from the municipalities, coupled with high interest rates and the high cost of materials that I think they said for them to build one single detached home now comes with $355,000 of extra expense. Remember when you could buy that whole...
whole thing?
Yeah. I lived in Milton for a very long time, and Milton is a sleepy little town just west of Mississauga. It is east of Guelph, for those who don't know. And when I lived there, population of like 60, 70, 80,000 people, and then they opened it up and they started building like crazy. Those subdivision homes started, a detached home, not huge, about 1,600 square feet, but those homes were selling for about 200 grand. Some of them less, depending on the options that you picked. Those homes are now reselling for over $1 million. 5 times the investment.
Yeah.
If they're telling us now that $355,000 is just the admin cost in some of the homes they're building, they're going to start at $800,000. That's not where we need to be. Affordable new homes need to be down in that $200,000 range.
Yeah.
They got to do something about that. But anyway, more people isn't just a drag on the housing market. It's a drag on just about everything. Do we have enough hospitals for an extra 250,000 people?
That's important. Very important.
These are just the people that came in within a 3-month span, 250,000.
By the way, this is the reason why the wait times are as bad as they are. Anyone waiting on any kind of test right now can attest to it being insane. I know people waiting 6 months out for a frickin' MRI.
It's nuts,
probably should get it soon. You know what I mean? Or CT scan or what have you. There's countless people. Last time we talked about it, I had a couple of DMs from people saying, yes, like help us out. We need help with this. There's people going to the States and just saying they don't even have the money to do it, but are willing to go into debt to get the tests that they need done. So when you add all those people to this population that we have, and there's a lot of people taking up space that maybe shouldn't take up space. We all know that what happens in hospitals specifically, right?
Yeah.
Then it's a problem for everybody.
There's also, this didn't come from me, actually. This came from the immigration minister himself. Just the other day, he commented about how many international students are now trying to claim asylum. Because we capped the number that are coming in and we're restricting how much they can work and all that sort of stuff, apparently students have figured out that if they claim asylum, they become a different type of number in the system. And then they start getting, they're allowed to stay, first off, and then they start getting handouts and this, that, and the other thing. Apparently, I was wondering the other day, who's using this dental care program? Because I don't really know anybody that's eligible for the dental care program that's using it, that doesn't have coverage through their work. And I spoke to a dentist just yesterday, and she told me the vast majority are new Canadians, people that are coming in and they're allowed because they don't have an income. So they fit the criteria and they're getting the dental care for free. They said they love it because they get dental care, no waiting. But if they need health care, they're in the same queue as all the rest of us.
Everybody. Yeah.
So I just don't know how much longer we can sustain this. The government said they were going to slow the numbers down, but if we just let in another 250,000 in 1 quarter, do the math, that's 1 million people this year. Another million. We were at a population of 33 million most of my life. And in the last few years, we've shot up to almost 42 million with no houses for anyone. Yeah. Maybe we should build houses along that tunnel under the 401. Maybe that would be very accessible.
I just pictured it.
Can you picture it?
It's like one of those like European cities where they're just like stacked on each other, like, good morning, good day.
I heard so much chatter yesterday about that tunnel. And some people are doing exactly what I hoped they would do. They'd be open-minded until we have all the details. And yesterday was very light on details. Premier Ford did not say how much it would cost. He didn't say when it could be done. He just said there's going to be a feasibility study. Now, a feasibility study is typically you get that and then you say, okay, based on the study, it'll cost this, it'll take this long. Sure, let's do it. Or now it'll cost too much and it'll take forever to build, so no, we're not going to do it. Ford says we're getting that tunnel built, regardless of what the feasibility study says. And those feasibility studies are expensive. It's in the millions to get one done. I'm wondering, why even bother with the feasibility study then? Why don't you just get the engineers drafting it out and start digging?
Well, and please use people that have done it before, though, would be the only thing I'd say. I don't want them to just draft something out. I do want a study to make sure that, because Toronto could be different than a Boston, for example, who apparently did it. Now, those who say it did it say, yes, it took a long time. Yes, it was a headache for a lot of people for a while, much like any construction project is, though, but was well worth it once it was completed. I don't know, because I've never taken that. What do they call it? What do they call it? Boston Tunnel? Like, I don't even know what they call it.
So it was called the Big Dig, the project.
Big Dig, okay.
I'm pretty sure it was in the tens of billions to do it, and they only did 10 kilometers. We're doing 50
something
kilometers,
right? Yeah.
Which really makes me wonder, how much is this going to cost? But I think we should know that. In fact, I think for any project this big, we should probably have a referendum.
Yeah, sure.
And I think it should be
It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money.
It should also be province-wide. This is something that's being built in Toronto with taxes that were collected from Ottawa and North Bay and Sudbury and London and Windsor and Hamilton and Kitchener. Maybe we use it, maybe we don't. It's mainly for the people in Toronto, though, and I think all taxpayers should have a say.
Yeah.
You know what? I think that if we had a responsible government at any level, it would be worth every penny, even if it costs $10 million to do it, Maybe we hire the same people that did that stupid ArriveCan app to do it. We need to have a way to have more referendums in this country, and not necessarily a referendum where if the government loses, we have an election. That's Ottawa shit. I don't care about that. I think we should have, for any project that's going to cost, say, over $10 million, mandatory vote. And whether you vote or not is up to you, just like a general election. But you should be able to open up the Ontario Votes app or the Canada Votes app, and you should be able to have your say as a registered voter on anything that's going to cost a lot of money. And the government can use up all that time that they have on TV and in the legislature or the House, and they can say, here's why we want to build a tunnel. Maybe Doug will come out and say, this is why we need a tunnel. And then you get Bonnie Crombie out there who will say, we don't need a tunnel. We need to make the 407 free. Okay, there's two opposing views. Let's vote. Because the system that we currently have, where we elect members of parliament or members of provincial parliament and then send them all off to Toronto or Ottawa to represent us, that isn't working. It's not. We have a situation now where we've got a federal government that won a confidence vote yesterday, even though 70% of the country wants an election. And that's not right. That means the members of parliament that we elected are not doing their job. They're not accurately reflecting the views of their constituents. We could take a lot of decision-making power out of their hands if we just had this Canada Votes app or referendum.ca.
Oh, it's got to be. I mean, there's got to be an easier way to do any of this, that number of these things. So that's what they need to work on.
Sure.
You want to work on something.
I think that there's a lot that we could learn from that. I don't know if our politicians would love it because they wouldn't be able to have all this freedom to do whatever they want. But I think that if the people had a say, I think it would be close on the tunnel. I'll bet you by the time all the arguments are heard, I'm thinking it's going to be pretty close. My guess would be about 55% no tunnel, 45% yes tunnel.
It just sounds silly. So for those people who are like, who think it does. Like, it totally does. Let's build a tunnel. You know what I mean? It's like when Donald Trump said he was going to build a wall. People are like, okay.
Well, that wall stopped a lot of people from coming into their country. It worked.
Yeah, this tunnel is going to cost a lot of money. Different reasons why we're making it. But nonetheless, it's still one of those things that sounds outrageous when you hear it at first. But if it's doable, let's hear it out.
Will this tunnel keep the Mexicans out of North York?
We can't. It might actually make things worse. If you think about it, can you dig a tunnel into the tunnel? Hang on a second.
How long, though, until we're building a tunnel under the tunnel because we've used up all those lanes? That's another one. I don't know who we call to get as an expert on here about the flow of traffic. I can only talk through my experience, and I added it up. I've now driven over 1 million kilometers.
Oh, that's a lot of clicks, my friend.
Burlington to Kitchener every day. It's killing me, Kat. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Anyway,
we're about to move studios. You're going to be a little farther too.
Fuck, too. I know. Okay, well, we'll get to that.
We'll tell you guys about that later.
I really do think though that this tunnel, it will add, say, 2 or 3 lanes more in each direction. Okay, so now we've got 14 lanes going in each direction.
Yeah.
And all that does is invite more cars.
Yeah.
Everybody that I've heard that seems to know what they're talking about on this says adding more lanes doesn't reduce congestion. It brings more cars into the area. What we've got to do is do things to get traffic moving faster, whether it's shutting down some exits so it's a complete express across the top of Toronto, whether it's tolls. I've heard a lot of people talk about tolls. I don't want tolls. I don't want them. No. But if they did work out a scenario where we bought back the 407, I would be okay with the government keeping a modest toll on there. Nothing like what those ETR people are charging. A modest toll, maybe, 5 cents every 5 kilometers or every 10 kilometers or something like that. Those would be reasonable tolls. And after time, we could at least pay for the maintenance, maybe even pay off the price that we paid to buy it back. One of our colleagues, Greg Brady, he does the morning show at AM 640 in Toronto. He worked out the numbers. The 407 brought in $144 million in revenue last year. They've got a 99-year lease. We are 27 years into it. Buy it out.
Yeah.
Give them the $144 million every year for the next 65 years or whatever it is, and that's how much you guys get. We're taking back our highway, and that's going to solve problems. I don't know why no one will acknowledge that. Why are we not allowed to talk about the 407 and buying it back?
Well, then maybe it would be good to get an answer, first of all, so that we don't start being skeptical of things. Because when I go to skeptical places, I think, who knows who where? What kind of relationship do you have where you don't even want to discuss this? You know, who's doing what for who? Is it under the table or not? Right? That's where I go when I don't see anybody actually speaking on it or giving us valid reasons. And from whatever thing I can tell, especially when you come to those news people like Greg and like everybody else who's been mentioning this, if they're not going to tell you, there might be a reason why.
Yeah.
And if everybody's asking and you're not answering or at least telling why you wouldn't do it, there's something's going on. Something else is happening.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
That's red flaggy,
That's
right?
red flaggy to me anyway.
Okay, I want to play, don't often do this. We're going to play something in favor of Kamala Harris. Chappell Roan, for those who don't know, is an extremely popular singer right now. She's got, they have hits like Good Luck Babe and Hot to Go, which is just so freaking catchy. HOTTOGO.
Great performer.
Jesus, I can't get that out of my head.
Can I just say that when it comes to Chappell Roan, like, we got to figure out what they want here because it's are you interested in fame or not? Because it's always complaining about how famous you are, but you're good at what you do. So do you want to perform and be good at what you do? Doesn't like fame, but has no problem telling people, don't take photos with me. This is why I'm going to say no. I'm going to come off as a bitch. Very, very outspoken. And because America is America, everybody asks, who are you voting for? Which still bothers the ever-loving shit out of me personally. I don't care what celebrity's voting for who. They don't. Also, not everybody can relate to us.
That's usually a personal question. I remember when it was very taboo to ask somebody, who are you voting for? Or who did you vote for?
And now if you don't post about it, then you just get people going, what? Posting things about you that are inaccurate or untrue until you define who you are and who you're voting for, right?
Well, I do want to play this clip because I both agree with Chappell Roan and disagree with Chappell Roan. It's about a minute long. Give this a listen.
There is nuance to what I say in interviews, and I think it's important that people use critical thinking. I think it's important for me to question authority and question world leaders and question myself, question my algorithm, question if some person that tweeted something about someone else was even true. It's important to question because that's how I think we move forward. No, I'm not voting for Trump. And yes, I will always question those in power and those making decisions over other people. Endorsing and voting are completely different. Trump, for real, but some of the that has gone down in the Democratic Party that has failed people like me and you. And more so, Palestine. And more so, every marginalized community in the world. So yeah, I'm voting for Kamala, but I'm not settling for what has been offered because that's questionable.
I don't agree with her, by the way, in that both candidates seem like not great. Like, good luck is what I say. Right. Good luck, babe, as Chappell Roan herself would say.
But I do like the two things that she stressed. She said, number one, critical thinking is essential. Sorry, they said critical thinking.
She or her.
Is she her?
Yep.
So hard to keep track. By the way, if I ever do make a mistake like that, it's never intentional because I do try and gender properly. It's just sometimes I don't know. So Chappell Roan is a her, not they. Is that correct?
Yeah, she goes by she, her. Yeah.
Okay. Critical thinking is extremely important. Question everything, also extremely important. She said, I'm not voting for Trump. And that's fine. Totally fine. She said, I'm voting for Kamala. Actually, she said Kamala. But
by the way, that always drives me crazy.
But she also said, I'm not happy with her either. There's so many issues with that I think a lot of people are in that boat where I don't like that person and I don't like that person. Historically, I might have voted for Kamala Harris, but I don't agree with her stance on Palestine. I don't agree with this or I don't agree with that. I think it's kind of a refreshing conversation for a celebrity to say, I don't know who I'm going to vote for because, frankly, I don't like either of them. Yeah, that's totally legit.
I think it's real. And here we are 30 minutes into the podcast, and Dave Blezard joins us. So hello, Dave.
Hello.
I'll see you in 5 minutes is what Dave said 25 minutes ago.
I know. I'm sorry. I got pulled in different directions and it was I had to do something. So.
Yes. Yeah, we understand. Boss things. Yeah. You know what you got to do, though? You got to sneak in here when you come in here.
Didn't I?
No, when you come into the office.
Not because you're a nice person and a good boss.
Oh, you mean in the office?
No, I mean like you'll go around and say, "Hey, crew, I'm here." Hey, no, You know what? Do pull when Taylor Swift goes to the stage of the Eras tour. We need to find you like a concealment where you can just be wheeled in here so that nobody else knows you're in here.
Can I get like a 5 SUV convoy to bring me in?
Sure thing. That way nobody knows you're here.
I come out of the middle little middle car, and we'll just leave 5 of them sitting outside at all times, so you never know if I'm actually here or not.
Right. You should park at the front of the building and come in through the loading door right to your office and paper over those glass walls.
I think that's smart.
That's what you should do.
That's right. And nobody will know I'm here.
I think it's good.
You caught us mid-conversation on a couple of different things. We
Yeah.
were talking about Chapel Roan saying that there's a difference between voting and endorsing, and I agree with that. She's not endorsing any candidate, and she says even though she's voting for Kamala Harris, that is not an endorsement because she disagrees with a lot of what Kamala Harris says. And she's written off voting for Trump. I think a lot of people kind of feel that way right now.
Yeah.
Neither of them is great.
Yeah, and I think it's an interesting way to present it because she represents an opinion that a lot of people have.
Yeah.
And it's an opinion that comes from a couple of different places. It comes from not fully understanding the system, not being fully involved in the issues at the moment, or it could be that you're focused on one particular issue or whatever it may be. So if a candidate doesn't say the thing you want them to say, then it's easy to write them off. But if both of them aren't saying what you want them to say,
then what do you do, right?
then what do you do?
Yeah. And how many of us have been there before? I know I've been there before, voting where I'm like, I don't completely love you, but I'll vote for you anyway and hope for the best.
Well, and this is why I try not to vote for people. I don't want to be swayed by the person. I want to hear what you promise to do for me because this is a job interview at the end of the day.
So I would have disagreed with that a few years ago, but now I completely agree. I used to be that one who still did what we were always told to do. Vote for your local candidate, the person who's in your community and who's doing the hard work and showing up at the grand opening of small businesses and shaking hands and advocating for the people in your town. But I don't see any evidence that most of the people are looking after the individuals in their town anymore. It seems to be they just do whatever the leader's office tells them to do, and that's not right. We used to have representation, and it seems like we don't anymore. So I don't even vote for the local candidate anymore. Doesn't matter to me who they are. You're essentially voting for a prime minister or an opposition leader.
It's a team sport, as I've said a bazillion times here. So I won't dig any further into that. But yeah, it's a team sport. And if you can't look at it objectively, then you're going to fall into whatever team you think you cheer for.
By the way, just before we get back to the tunnel thing under the 401.
Oh, you already talked about it. I knew you would.
I want to circle back with Dave. The latest opinion polls say that if an election were held today, and it's possible that one will be held after October 29th, that's when the Bloc Québécois says they'll bring down the Liberals, October 29th, then the Bloc would be the official opposition, which means they get certain rights if you're the leader of the opposition, in that you get to live at Stornoway and you get a maid and a nanny and you get a staff and you get extra drivers. And those are all paid for by the taxpayers. All of them. The problem is the official opposition in that case would be solely in existence just to break apart the country. Why would we, the taxpayers, pay for the guy who wants to rip the country apart to have filet mignon every night at Stornoway, made by his chef, while his nanny watches the kids? That's messed up, isn't it?
Welcome to the game.
How can we have a system where the guy who's trying to break up the country gets all the perks that people in BC and Newfoundland and Saskatchewan are paying for?
I know. It's twisted.
It's completely messed up.
And this is part of the reason when you hear this kind of stuff, this is part of the reason why people have such a disdain for politicians.
It's just so shady.
It just feels gross.
What do you think of the tunnel under the 401? I've been dying to hear. Okay, he's going to get comfortable.
You relax there for a second.
Folks, first of all I could picture when I heard that announcement was him with that little shovel.
Yeah.
The red shovel.
Yeah.
We're going to go and hire all the groundhogs in the province. We're going to take them all and we're going to dig the hole, and it's going to be done so much faster.
It's about time they got jobs, I thought, the groundhogs.
These guinea pigs have really, really, really been living off the dole for a little too long.
Why don't you get off your ass and work? You and your ASS can get working.
You have a whole day for yourself. Least you could do is dig.
Yeah. That's not a bad idea.
Hire the groundhogs?
If Ford said, we're going to harness the power of the great Ontario groundhog, and
How great would that be?
we're going to dig a hole under the 401 and let nature take its course. That would not even surprise me.
We'll get there when we get there, folks.
Oh my gosh.
My buddy tweeted this out yesterday. A post. What do you say on X? I don't even know.
I still say tweeting.
Yeah. So he tweeted this thing I thought was great. He goes, it didn't reference what the tunnel was, but it was right after the press conference. And he just goes, man, can you just fix the Scarborough Express? The LRT up there. It's been down for 49 years.
Honestly.
Can you just maybe focus on what we've got going on right now? I mean, what's the other option?
There's a lot of
We
other
actually discussed this, and we'd love to throw a couple ideas by you.
Yeah, I'd love to hear it.
I know. I'll leave the one for you that I know you're going to mention, Scott. One of my ideas was take some of that money, because for sure getting more cars or having more availability for cars is a thing. Give some money to the businesses that are occupying those downtown spaces to move them out of downtown. One of the reasons why there's so much congestion is because everyone's got to be downtown, got to get to work downtown. Why don't you give them a little money and say, open an office in, maybe it's Mississauga, maybe even farther out from Mississauga.
Move it to
Pull
London,
them west, move
Sudbury,
them
Ottawa,
north,
Kingston.
right? Move them, spread them out a little bit, because that
Cornwall's
really
beautiful this time of year.
Certainly is.
help it out that way. What do you think about that? You could totally put some money in there, right? And come on, take the money, and some would.
Some of them I'd like to leave downtown because some of them are kind of shady anyway, and I feel like we should leave all the shady ones downtown Toronto. We don't need them to open up a giant CIBC tower in the middle of wine country in Niagara or something like that.
No, you got to leave certain areas out of it.
So are you talking about leaving the
could do that.
businesses where you have to they have to unlock 3 doors for you to get in and stuff like that?
Yeah, leave those ones downtown. Let's move some of the more palatable ones out into other areas.
Yeah.
And you're right, that would solve a problem. Less people trying to get into the same spot. We could also build, and apparently this is getting announced today, more entertainment venues that aren't downtown Toronto. It amazes me that they're bewildered that there's so much traffic when they have a show at Scotiabank, a game at Rogers Centre, and a show at Bud Stage, plus the CNE on. They're amazed. Why is the traffic so bad? Why do you think? You've got 4 venues all 3 kilometers apart.
There's like 50,000 people going to one of those events alone. What are you doing?
I got invited to go see Korn in concert at Bud Stage, and I was like, mm-mm. And the reason I said no was just I don't want to drive down right now.
Right.
Like the Gardner, disastrous. Lakeshore, disastrous. Like there's no great options, and if it's transit that you have to take, like I have other things I have to consider, like timing, and it just doesn't work for me.
So it was actually Alan Cross, another one of our colleagues, that said he has been told that what's being announced today is a new concert venue at Downsview Park. Thank God.
Oh.
Get it out of downtown Toronto.
Yep.
Now, that's still Toronto. Ironically, it's right off the 401, Sands Tunnel at the moment. So that's not going to be great, but at least it's not down in that concentrated area with all the venues.
But I went to less Jays games this year
Yeah.
than I ever have.
Yeah.
And all of it was just
Traffic.
Truthfully, that was the stress of
Brutal.
If I want to go down to a game, like let's say I wanted to go to a weekday evening game, I would have to leave my house at 3:00 in the afternoon. We have to get a sitter. We have to do all this stuff. And then next thing you know, it's not worth it anymore.
Yeah.
It's the hassle. It's the, we got to get back. It's getting too late.
$50 to park for 2 hours?
Yeah.
I hate it so much. I got a hotel when I did like my family touristy summertime Toronto thing. I was like, let's just get a hotel. Find the best hotel deal that makes sense in the area we want, because driving there and back in one day is enough to make you want to
It's
jump
bananas
off
now.
the
Yeah.
CN Tower.
And that's why I think if you have the option to have some of those stadiums or some of those big attractions within the vicinity, GTA, that's why it's the Greater Toronto area. You know, I don't know.
The Downsview Park thing, are we learning any more of that? Is that like basically where they have the festivals now is going to be an actual venue? Is
So
that what we're hearing?
It's a parking lot right now, right? Pretty much.
It's like a dirt spot. They do like Veld there, and they do a lot of festivals during the summer there.
Right. So in the summertime, Veld is an outdoor festival. They still have there, though, the hangar. They've got the hangar, and then they've got tons of indoor sports fields. If you want to play soccer or cricket or whatever else,
It's huge. They
Downsview
have a massive
is a
spot.
massive area.
Yeah.
But the hangar in particular can hold like 10, 15,000 people, apparently, standing room. So let's build a big entertainment venue there. Right now, they're doing an Oktoberfest there. Not the real one, though. The real one's in Kitchener, just so you know, everybody. And it starts tomorrow.
Yes. You still have to get to Downsview, it's still not fun.
No, it's not a great trip
Depending
either.
on where you're coming from, it's not
Yeah.
fun. But at least it is outside of downtown, so okay. All right.
Okay.
Whatever.
All right. Whatever. Fine.
Fine.
Well, I'll go to the concert then, I guess.
Yeah.
How's our time, by the way?
We're almost 40 minutes here of
shit.
podcasting.
Okay, we gotta go.
I wanted to tell you guys something
Yes,
that I'm doing
yes.
this weekend.
What are you doing?
I am so excited. I'm beyond excited.
What are you doing?
I am going to a spa that just does head massages.
Is Is this local?
Yep.
To us? Yeah, I've heard of this place actually, and I almost booked one. I almost booked it.
Hold on a second here. What goes on at this place?
That's
What's
Cloud
happening
in the
here?
name or something along those lines. Am I
Maybe,
allowed to say?
I don't know.
Someone else,
I
did your
didn't
wife book it for you?
Yes.
Is it
Yeah.
a couples thing?
This one's not, but we booked a future couples one as well. But it's
Yeah,
a full.
I've heard amazing things.
Yeah, like shoulder up. They focus on the head, the
Yes.
temples, the neck. Like apparently it's the perfect amount of relaxation. Plus, if I could get my head in a vice and just squeeze it, that's how I get relief in my head.
I love those, but usually they're not registered therapists that do it.
So you can't write it off on the benefits.
Exactly. That's
Oh,
what I found
you know
anyway.
what?
This place might be, but I'm
I
gonna
don't
talk
care.
to you about this after.
I
That's
don't
the thing is
care.
it's worth paying out of pocket for, I think too, because I love a good scalp massage. Like
Yeah.
my hair stylist, when she does it, I always tell her, I'm like, I will give you extra money to just keep doing what you're doing right now. And I just sit at the sink area, which is not comfortable, not as
Yeah.
comfortable as those head massage places. Give that to me for
Hand-
like 15 minutes.
I will cash under the table for you if you want. That sounds.
Yeah.
The pictures of it, I was like, yep, this is the best place on earth. And I'll probably.
Oh, I've
move in
heard
here.
good things actually. I know someone who went who said it was awesome.
Okay.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I'd still like to know more. What the
I think
hell's
you
going
should-
on here?
yeah.
So it's like a regular spa that you would go to for a massage, except they only do your head.
So you lay down and you're unclothed at the top, but you have something over you, of course, because you're going to get a little wet. There's a sink underneath you, but the bed is made so that your head hangs over with a little bit of support, of course. So you don't have to hold your head up or anything. It's very relaxing. Relaxing music, the usual spa stuff.
Like corn.
And corn, obviously. And then depending on the package that you get, there's also facials. So
Yes.
you can do just a head massage, whatever, but they'll get your hair wet. So they do the herbal shampoo and conditioner on your head. If you don't have hair, that's okay. They still have lots of oils and things like that they use. And then there's a facial, there's a red light therapy too. So there's like packages that you can get while you're laying there relaxed.
No kidding.
I'm like, I have an RMT who I love to go to and does great. And I always feel weird being like, can you just do my head? But I would love, and this is what this is. It's a 60-minute massage that is just shoulders up.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I cannot wait. I cannot wait. I want my head to feel like a bowl of soup
You'll
when they're
love
done.
it.
I've gone for so many massages over the years. Just recently, I had a massage where they did something that I'd never had done before. Maybe I just picked the wrong masseuses previously, but I was laying there and my head was on the table. And she said, okay, just scooch down a little bit so your head is falling off the table. And I was like, all right, sure, I'll go through this exercise.
And then she kept saying it until he fell right off the table.
off on my
That
head.
would have been amazing.
Gullible fuck.
Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Ah, he fell.
So I'm laying there with my head hanging off the table, and she grabbed a towel
Yeah.
and lifted my head up. And number one, it's amazing how much your head weighs. I don't think we really appreciate our neck and shoulders enough because our heads are very heavy. She picked this head up, my head up, and when somebody else is carrying the weight of your head, it is incredibly relaxing. It's almost like it
Yeah.
releases something into your
Yeah.
body.
Your whole body gets looser.
Did
Yeah.
you pull it a little bit too?
My head?
Yeah, like
With the towel, like
with the
pull.
towel. Yes,
yeah, that
yes,
feels
yes,
good
she
when
did.
they
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was good.
stretching out the neck a little bit. Oh, I am
So
so
good.
excited.
One more thing before we go. We have some pregnancy news that came in today, and this is contrary to everything I've ever been told. Have you ever heard that if guys wear briefs, it can cut their fertility because they've like compressed their nuts too
tighty
much?
whities,
it.
you know,
Yeah,
the tighty
I've heard
whitey
that.
thing. Yeah,
I've heard it. I don't
Look
know
at
the
me like
science.
as I pretend to
I know.
tighten balls. I don't know why I needed to do that with
Well, how
my
did your
hands.
balls feel when they did it?
I
Kat?
don't know why I needed
Yeah.
to do that with my hands when I said it.
You know, the tighty whities
You
I
know
wear.
when they
What?
tighten
What?
your balls.
Researchers at the State University of New York at Stony Brook found that wearing snug-fitting briefs does not hamper sperm production after all. So that's one thing. Here's the other one, and this one's a little bit harder to understand. Women taking a common over-the-counter cold medication are being warned it could get them unexpectedly pregnant. Doctors say there is now anecdotal evidence that Mucinex makes it easier for sperm to travel through the vagina and reach the egg. Social media and many online forums are full of women who claim they conceived while they were on a Mucinex routine. They had been struggling with fertility in some cases. The theory is that the drug works by thinning phlegm, and that if it works on thinning the phlegm in your sinus, it might also work in the cervix.
You didn't even know your cervix was stuffy, did you, ladies?
I think Dave knew. Creating a smoother route for the sperm to reach the egg. In essence, it essentially like extra lubes up the vag so that the sperm can just go right at the egg and have themselves a good time. Mucinex. You still swallow it, right? Where do you put the Mucinex?
Yes.
Okay.
I was going to say it doesn't become like a suppository or
No,
anything.
I don't think
guys,
so. I couldn't hurt though,
Just
Dave.
so you guys know, there's a lot of things you can take orally to help you down there, just the same as men. There's a lot of things orally that do things for you down there.
How do you
Do not shove a Mucinex up anybody. Do we need to be clear on that?
But what if
I'm
you
glad you
really
were.
want to get pregnant?
No, stop with these. I'm so irritated with these new TikTok trends of like, ooh, here's a way to find out how to get pregnant. Here's a way to do this, and here's a way to do that. People are getting stupider.
Yeah, I'm not on that
getting
algorithm,
dumber.
thank God, because I would lose my mind.
Some people are not even having sex, and I don't think they understand how conception works.
This is no word of a lie. There was a video that I saw that had to have 700,000 likes on it, and it was a person on TikTok, a typical TikTok influencer type, who was saying that they could find out if you're pregnant by peeing into a shampoo bottle.
What?
Yeah, and I was like, and if you shake it a certain way, there's like these bubbles pop up, and that tells you you're pregnant. That's what people are believing. Not everybody's believing that, but there is a swell of people who believe this crap.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
And it blows my mind. It's like put that damn phone down and go to a
Yeah.
classroom.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, if you think that's what's happening, and that's how you figure out if you're pregnant or not, you are not responsible enough to be having sex.
I understand that is probably not a telltale sign that someone is pregnant, but I'm wondering, what is it in your urine that makes shampoo bubble when you piss into the bottle? What's in your diet? What's different from everybody else's?
I don't know. And that's what was so stupid about this post. I'm like, how is anybody going, ooh, I got to try that.
I gotta go get my shampoo bottle.
What is with this? Like, what is with this attitude of like, well, science told me this, and we have had years and years and years of a process of doing it this way, but I'm just going to
Centuries,
go.
actually.
Yeah. I'm just going to go, no. Oh, no. TikTok told me. So I'll tell you this. The world has been around for a long time prior to TikTok. It's not the new doctor's book of home remedies, friends.
So
I remember that book.
Yeah, you do.
wasn't that great? Yeah. Probably full of misinformation
yeah.
and disinformation at this point.
It's the book form of disinformation.
Yeah.
That's exactly
Probably.
right.
Have a smoke for your health.
Yeah. If your baby's tired, give them bourbon.
Pregnant? Jump on a trampoline.
Yeah, it always works.
It'll come out faster.
Well, for what it's worth, and no, we're not doctors, they say, anecdotal evidence that Mucinex makes it easier for sperm to travel and thus increases the chances if you are trying to conceive. You do what you want with that information. I'm not a doctor, and frankly, if you take medical advice from us, that's on you.
Yeah.
I don't know what you were thinking.
That's awful of you.
You'd be better to take it from TikTok.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody, if you want to know if you have a headache or not, pee in a shampoo bottle.
I still want to know about that shampoo bottle. Is
Yeah.
it different kinds of shampoo, or is it like, do you have to use like Johnson & Johnson's?
I don't know.
What do you do?
I don't know.
And how accurate a stream does a woman have to pee into a shampoo bottle?
That's true, because
That's
those
really
holes are
threading the needle.
tiny.
Yeah.
Well, you have to like pee first and then just tip the bottle upside down and
Listen,
give
I'm
it
not
the suck back.
I'm not getting into the how. That was an algorithm I was not going to allow onto my phone.
If that starts popping up because we're talking about it, I'm going to be, pun intended,
Uh-huh.
pissed.
From the limited time that you were here, do we owe anyone an apology?
I'm not keeping track of apologies on a Thursday. Are you nuts?
Okay.
That's true. That is a
It's
Friday
not his
tradition.
job.
No,
it's true,
no.
and I didn't yell Happy Friday, so we're good.
I do want to just say one thing real quick. I love the DMs that we get. We get a ton of them, especially about stuff that we talk about on a week-to-week basis. Shout out to Daniela, who always sends us great stuff.
I went to college with her.
Did you?
She's awesome.
Yeah, she sends us Mike Tyson stuff all the time. Reminds us when we don't
Yeah.
say the right thing to Mike, and she even screwed up in the DMs, so she had to apologize to Mike.
Ah.
Yeah,
So-
if you mention Mike Tyson in the DMs to us, you will have to apologize.
Yeah.
Don't forget to add that at the end. It's okay if you talk about him,
Mm-hmm.
but please apologize about talking about him and then just to him in general.
I'm getting close to the point where I'm not going to respond to people until they apologize to Mike Tyson.
I like it. I like the strategy.
Don't ask me anything. Don't expect an answer if you cannot apologize to Mike Tyson.
I'm getting so excited about this fight. I want to see him just beat the holy hell out of Jake Paul.
So do I.
I am pumped.
But you know what? I think it was Jimmy Kimmel the other night, in fairness, that pointed it out. He said, Mike, you're fighting for an entire generation, Gen X.
It's true.
You're fighting for Gen X men that grew up on a Saturday night, like once every couple of months, there was a Mike Tyson fight and everybody had to watch it.
I will fall into the rabbit hole of watching his greatest knockouts. And it's like a 15-minute compilation of these unbelievable early in his career, the speed he was hitting people at, like just crazy stuff. I don't know how much he has left. I really don't. He looks fast as a cheetah in the training videos that I see. Looks pretty incredible, but that's a very different thing to when you get into the ring. Very, very, very different.
Especially when you're fighting a guy half your age who's not as good or as an established a fighter, but is still a formidable threat.
He's a fighter. Like he still is a fighter. He's not a ranked fighter, but he's a fighter.
I think he's listening to the podcast, by the way, because in that same interview, he started talking about time. And how Julius Caesar is the one who assumes that 365 days is. So he really doesn't know how old he is. And I thought, obviously, Mike Tyson has great taste and listens to the podcast. Thank you, Mike Tyson.
Thank you. Yeah, not an apology, but a thank you.
A thank you to Mike Tyson.
Thank you, Mike Tyson.
If he does listen, just reach out. Just shoot us a DM, dude.
Please.
We won't even tell anybody. How about that? We'll keep it quiet. Just call in or just DM us and let us know that you're listening, Mike.
Just one word.
You can DM me a screw
Sorry.
you, I'll still like it.
I just want one word. Thup.
Oh, well, now he's not going to do it.
I hate that podcast.
Yeah, I ruined it, didn't I?
This is an extra long one for you, friends.
Have a great day, everybody. We will see you tomorrow with more After 9.
Bye-bye.
Passengers aboard a train in England recently evacuated after 2 squirrels were discovered on board. While over in New York, passengers ignored the rats having a knife fight.
After another prostate-busting night of the Golden Bachelorette, wow, what a show. You know, they started with 24 men vying for Joan's TV love. They were down to 14. 6 were eliminated, 4 died of natural causes. And
you guys see this? NASA just discovered a striped zebra rock on Mars and called it an exciting sign of discoveries to come. NASA was like, $5 trillion well spent.